Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm in the process of getting things started. Ileana, you are now a co-host, so if you could please tend to the waiting room, I would appreciate that. For now, what I would like you all to do is to take out the House on Mango Street books and go ahead and start reading. This is a new thing for me. I like starting class with doing a little bit of reading. I will ask you to do a reflection in just a bit, but want to make sure that you're taking time to get into the book. Okay, we have a lot of writing that we are doing about the book now, and all of it is based on your reading. So make sure that you are moving forward with that. Go ahead and take that out right now, and I'm going to continue to get things set. I'll put the lesson plan up on the board, and then I'll check back in with you in a few minutes. Hopefully the rest of the class attends. Ileana, can you see the lesson plan that I put up on the board? More, I can zoom in more. Let's see. How's that?
I can read it. It just looks a little bit blurry.
It's blurry. I can zoom in more.
I think it might be because it's really because you're zooming in so much.
Okay, so it's like, it's
Oh,
not.
there it goes. It's clearing up.
Okay, it just needed time to load. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay, everyone. So as you can see from the lesson plan, let's start up at the top. The focus for this week in the week 4 module, which is where we're at right now, is writing your introduction. Last week, you had to turn in the mini essay. I know that some of you did that, and I know that others are still working on that, okay? Frankly, it's a little concerning that so many of us haven't turned it in yet, okay? This is a 1-page assignment at the very beginning of the semester. It's very important that you do it, okay? Because I'm actually going to reset to autofocus mode now. I'll be able to show you the lesson plan more again later. Let's see, there we go. It's very important that you get the mini essay in as quickly as you can, so I can give you feedback on your writing, okay? The mini essay is meant to simulate a body paragraph, right? And we're going to be looking over your next big essay assignment, which the rough draft of which will be due on Tuesday of next week, okay? So it's very important that the skills that you are supposed to demonstrate in the mini essay, that 1, you practice those, and 2, I give you quick feedback on it, so that way you kind of know, all right, what do I need to improve on or work on for this upcoming paper, okay? If you're nervous about the mini essay because it's the first bit of writing for the class, I understand, okay? And that's why I've made that assignment, the point value, it's only 10 points, okay? So the worst you can do on this is 5 out of 10, right? That's an F for this, okay? Now, that's not ideal. You don't want to start that way, right? But, you know, if you get a C, that's a 7 out of 10. Okay, you're only down 3 points. This class is worth something like 500 points. Okay, 3 points or 5 points in a 500-point class. I mean, 5 points is like 1%. Okay, now, you know, if you're trying to get an A and you're at like an 89%, yeah, the 1% makes a difference, right? But that's something that you can learn from and we can easily fix throughout the semester, right? As far as grading goes, I always value improvement over the course of the semester, okay? So, you know, something I've heard people, especially in the tech industry, say is fail fast, right? And that's a way of saying, don't wait for things to be perfect. Get out there and try it, okay? You make mistakes and then you learn from it and you adjust, okay? And that's something that I don't want to focus on the failure part, but it's more like, feel free to make the mistakes, okay? That's what the redo policy is for, right? So if you're waiting for the perfect time, don't, it's life. There's never a perfect time, okay? You're enrolled in the class, do, all right? And then I can give you feedback on it, all right? As far as reading goes, I know students in the other class weren't caught up on the reading. I won't quite say that's okay. I mean, like, I don't think you're a bad student or anything if you're not caught up on the reading. It's more just like, think about planning, right? What are the consequences of not being caught up on the reading, right? When you write your paper about Esperanza, we have to look at her development from beginning to end. And you can't do that until you've gotten to the end, right? You can't write the full paper, okay? So if you're not caught up on the reading, but let's say you've at least read the first 30 pages, you can do the mini essay, okay? There are plenty of characters that appear in the first 30 pages of the novel, all right? So please don't feel embarrassed, just do the work, okay? Pick out one of the characters and get going with it, all right? So that way I can share with you my thoughts on your writing. As far as what's coming down the pike, I think that's the phrase, right? With the essay that's coming up, again, don't wait for it to be perfect. If you haven't read the whole novel yet, okay, that's fine. Keep reading every day, do something, okay? You can still write your rough draft, okay? You can write based on what you have read so far, okay? All you need is at least 2 pages to write your rough draft, okay? 2 pages is what you need by Tuesday of next week. That's 2 mini essays, okay? So that's a very doable amount. Even if you were behind today and you committed to reading like today and tomorrow up to like, I don't know, page 60, which is where you were supposed to be last week, okay? And you know, the chapters move pretty quickly, and I hope that you see that or are reminded of that when you open up the book. You can get enough to be able to start drafting 2 pages, okay? So nonetheless, do the mini essay. That's my, final bit of encouragement on that. That way I can give you some feedback and you know how to grow and improve as a writer, okay? Don't wait for the perfect moment to draft the rough draft, okay? Do what you can, all right? That's my message over and over again. Do what you can. So the last 2 weeks we focused on doing what we can for a body paragraph. This week, we're focusing on the introduction, okay? This is a harder skill to learn, so it's okay to struggle with this, okay? Introductions are, they consist of 3 parts. My lecture for the week breaks those parts down and explains what needs to be present in them. The most important thing to remember with an introduction is that you have to solve a problem, okay? Because that is what motivates the argument, right? Why is this worth looking into, okay? You have to convince your readers first that there is a problem that matters, okay? So that's the way that we focus on this. I know in week 1, some of you talked about using a hook in your introduction. I think hooks are great, but hooks can just be superficial. They can just be a matter of style, okay? And what we want to do is go beyond that. We don't want to just intrigue our readers with the first sentence. We want them to think, hey, wait a minute, there's an idea here that might change what I think about other things, okay? So that's why we need to move to problem-based argumentation, and that's my whole philosophy, okay? So we'll get a chance to practice this a little bit more in our reflection, actually. So this makes for a good transition. What I would like you to do is to think about Esperanza's problems, right? Last week, I asked you to reflect on what she wants. In fact, what I would suggest is right now, take out that list, okay, of what she wants. Have that with you right now because you're going to need to think about those things with this reflection question. The reflection question is, what is preventing Esperanza from getting what she wants, right? So first you got to know, what do you think that she wants? And then you move to, what is it that is preventing her from getting what she wants, okay? So I'm going to type that into the chat. I'm going to write that up on the board, but that's what I would like you to take the next 5 minutes to reflect on. This is going to help you write your paper. This is going to help you start to draft the problem that you see Esperanza experiencing. If you remember last week, we talked about narratives. They rely on conflict, right? One thing is knowing who the protagonist and what the protagonist wants. But if the protagonist gets what they want right away, the story ends, okay? There's no drama, there's no climax, okay? So in order for us to understand our character more and to see how the narrative is complex, we need to have conflict. And that's the thing getting in the way of what Esperanza wants, okay? So right now, I want you to reflect. I'm going to type that in here. Reflection question. What prevents Esperanza from getting what she wants? Okay, there it is in the chat. Please take the next 5 minutes to draft your response to that. save the draft because that's going to help you write your introduction later. Okay. And for those of you in class, I'll make sure to write that up on the board. I'm sorry, the reflection question? No. I mean, it is like, when we look at this pre-write, it's one of the practice quizzes that asks this question here. So this is going to help you do this thing later. Okay. Did anyone have any questions on the reflection question before I set the timer and we get started with our free write? Nope. Okay. Take about 5 minutes to start writing. Okay, I'm going to take attendance right now. Please unmute yourself and just let me know that you are here. Maria?
Here.
Good morning. Thank you. Yahaira? Yahaira? Okay. Elisa? Heidi?
Here.
Good, thank you. Caitlin? Is Caitlin here? No? Okay. Brianna?
Here.
Hi, Brianna. Karina?
Here.
Morning, thank you. Evelyn?
Here.
Hello, good. Anthony? Anthony, great. Thanks, Anthony. Elizabeth?
Here.
Elizabeth, thank you. Rachel?
I'm here.
Thank you. Crystal? Crystal? Okay, thank you. Sarah?
Here.
Sarah, great. Thank you, Sarah. Alexis?
Here.
Great, good morning. Angelina?
Here.
Good, thank you. Joshua?
Here.
Hi, Joshua. Amanda? Amanda,
Here.
hello. Vivian,
Here.
hi Vivian. Yesenia. Yesenia. No. Okay. Anyone not hear their name called? No? Okay, great. Please continue with the reflection. Have about another minute or so to do that. Okay, so let's address this question together about what is it that, oh my gosh, I wrote the wrong question up on the board. I apologize. The question in the chat is correct. Come on, guys, I need your help. The copy hasn't hit yet. All right, so you knew what I was asking though, right? Okay, so we reread this correctly. I'm gonna erase it right now. What prevents? Wake up, yeah. Okay, so let's separate this a little bit. We can focus on, let's see, those things that she wants, right? And we can think about blocks. What are things that get in the way? All right, so remember, when it comes to participation, just unmute yourself, jump in. Again, if I'm talking or if a classmate is and you don't want to forget what it is that you want to share, then just type it into the chat, okay? All right, so what are some things that prevent Esperanza? What gets in her way? What prevents her from getting what she wants? This is to both students in class and those of you at home.
Something that she wants is a house, a
Yes.
new, like, nicer house.
Right. Well, what's stopping her, Angelina?
Her poverty.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Okay. Right, she wants, and we're gonna put this in quotes here, right? Okay, she wants a real house and she can't get it. Her family doesn't have the money that would be required to get the kind of home that they've been dreaming of, okay? So good, that's a great example of something that's getting in the way of what she wants, all right? Other examples, other things that she wants, and then what's stopping her from getting that?
She wants to be loved.
She wants to be loved, okay? Great, and who shared that great idea? I didn't get to see.
Oh, me, Maria.
Maria, thank you, Maria. Maria, do you think she is not experiencing love, or do you think there are people out there who are offering that and she's just not recognizing it? What's your take on it?
Well, I think there's well, I read in chapter Beautiful and Cruel that she says, I'm an ugly daughter. I am the one nobody comes for. So maybe she believes that because she's not beautiful, no one will want her.
Hey, what page was that on? That's really
Uh,
powerful and hard to hear.
88.
E8? Okay. And you said she says she's an ugly daughter?
Yeah. And that I am the one nobody comes for.
Okay, wow. Now, we can think about this in a couple of ways, right? Maria, based on this statement, who do you think she wants love from?
A guy.
Guy, okay, so, and that would be the one nobody comes for, right? Like
Yeah.
she would be hoping that, some boy or young man, right? Do we know how old she is? Did we answer that question yet? Any clues on that? We'll keep looking. I'm pretty sure, I think she's like 12. Okay. Yeah, so she's really, really young here. But let's keep that. But the way sometimes it's obvious that she's super young, like a child, and then other times it's like, wait, how old is she? Is she like, a teenager, right? It kind of switches. But nonetheless, good. So that's one thing, right? She wants a relationship with a boy or a young man. Okay. So that's an interpretation right there. Okay, but this quote that you shared with us helps us look maybe at another perspective. Who else might she want love from? Based on the words that we have here in this quote. And this is not limited to Maria. Others can jump in too.
Mom.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Karina.
Her
Yeah.
mom.
A mom, a parent. That's right. And I'm guessing it's the word daughter that kind of cued that idea, right? Yeah, right. Well, I'm going to stick to parent with daughter because daughter implies that direct relationship to a father or a mother, right? Now, if she said like a sister or something, right? I don't know. There's probably other words that could be used, but daughter helps us think about it in terms of parent. But I bet, Elisa, we could expand to family, right? I bet there's evidence, there are other quotes out there, but this one specifically helps us think about getting love from two different parts, right? And then if we were to push this a little bit more, how are these two things related? Does her not having someone come for her mean she's not a good daughter? No? Does she kind of connect those two things here, Karina?
Yeah, because she's trying to leave somewhere. I don't know how to like word it, but it's like she's trying to escape from the house she's at right now to somewhere better.
Okay, and we get the sense that the best way to do that would be through a relationship, through marrying.
Yeah, because that's what she's seen Sally do and others.
Sally, why am I blanking on Sally? I was thinking of Ruthie. I don't know if you guys have gotten that far yet. Okay, let's do this. We're just gonna write the word escape and we're gonna put a question mark here. But this quote that Maria shared with us is a really powerful one, right? Because it helps us get at what she wants. It helps us also see that there's something blocking, right? Now, is she ugly or does she see herself as ugly, right? That's a question we take this detail here. I'm just gonna write it this way here. others see her as ugly? Or does she see herself as ugly? Okay, so there's a question that I'm trying to think through here based on the quote that we have. When she says something like this, does this mean she thinks she's ugly? Or is this a message she's received from other people, right? Other people think that she's ugly, okay? Now, I underlined the word or, and we could even test that a little bit too. It doesn't have to be either or, it could be a both, or it could be a neither, okay? But this is a nice little walkthrough for how you do analysis, okay? You know, you make a claim, you provide a quote, and then you look at the details, the words that are here, and you start to kind of expand. You label things, you classify them. Oh, this is love from a parent, and this is heterosexual love from someone of the opposite sex, right? And in her case, since she identifies as a girl, then it would be a boy, right? And then we get to this word ugly here, right? Who's saying that, right? Is that how she sees herself, or is that how others see her? Is it both? Neither, right? What is that? Okay. All right. Excellent. So we could continue to tease that out. What are some other things that get in her way, that maybe prevent her from achieving what she wants?
She has low self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Okay, great. And Yahida, how do you see, what is the want that the low self-esteem is frustrating?
She wants to be like socially, like society accepted. I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say.
Perfect. Well, you gave me two things, and they could be related, but they could also be taken in different ways. All right. So I'm going to say accepted. Okay, that was very clear, right? And then that leads, you know, if we wanted to push on this idea more, we'd have to ask accepted by whom, right? Accepted where, right?
We could say through school. I mean, it was really in the early chapters when she had talked about wanting to stay after school with like the other kids, and the nun didn't let her. Like she did, but she kind of felt some type of way. Like she kind of made her feel embarrassed about where she was coming from, and yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You're talking about the canteen, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the cafeteria, right? So when we think about accepted where, an example of where could be school. Okay, she wants to be accepted in school, but she has low self-esteem, and that keeps getting in the way. Okay, maybe if she felt proud of where she lived, you know, she wouldn't have felt that shame when the nun questioned her, right? Because she wouldn't have given that power over to the nun to make her feel bad about where she lives, right? Maybe the nun wasn't even trying to make her feel bad. Maybe she was like, wait, where? You live there, right? But the problem is, okay, and this is where it becomes a literature class, and we're not going to go in this direction, at least not for more than just this little side note. This story is completely written from Esperanza's perspective, right? We don't have what's called a third person omniscient voice that can go inside the minds of other characters, right? So everything we experience is only what Esperanza thinks, okay? We can't go into the nun's head and think, well, was the nun trying to shame her? What we have though, and the reality that matters, right, is Esperanza felt shame when the nun said, you live there, right? And pointed that out. And that definitely is something that we can key in on in terms of low self-esteem, right? As it relates to being accepted at school, okay? Now, if we want to tease this out further, right? And this is not something we have to do every time, but I want you guys to know this is your analytical process. Keep asking questions. Keep trying to make things more specific. Can we make school smaller? Yeah, we can. does the nun represent everyone at school? Are there other people who attend the school? It's only nuns? It's Esperanza and a bunch of nuns? That would be uncomfortable. Who else goes to the school? Well, there would be other teachers. Do we hear about other teachers in the novel? I don't think that we do, right? But we do know there are students there too, okay? Does she get shamed by the students? Nonetheless, you see where I'm going with this, right? I think this is a really great way to make this more specific, accepted where, at school. The by whom helps us think, well, the nun is a figure of authority, right? Is it only those people in charge who are shaming her, or is she getting this from students too? Okay, her peers.
Students too, because she talks about how they kind of make fun of her name.
They make fun of her name. Okay, good. That's a great example, right? So the basic principle I'm using here is question everything, right? And be as specific as you can, okay? I want you to start conditioning yourself to do that. That will serve you well in this class and in any class that you do. Question everything in a skeptical way, okay? And then try to get as specific as you can, all right? Keep going with that. All right, good. These are excellent examples of things that get in her way, and we can keep going and make this list longer, okay? But all I wanted was some examples for you to draw upon for yourself. And as you continue reading, okay, these are things you can track, or you can look for other things that get in the way. Sometimes we know very clearly what she wants, okay? I mean, the title of the book is called The House on Mango Street. She says on page 1 or 2, right? She wants a house, right? That's very clear. But other things that she wants, like to be loved, okay? Those are a little more indirect, okay? We've got to seek those out. Sometimes we know right away. Other times we can focus more on, well, what does she struggle with? And then we can work our way backwards to figure out what she wants, okay? So there are different ways for you to approach figuring out what is Esperanza's problem, okay? And what is this problem that impacts who she is and how she develops? All right, this makes for a nice transition to the next thing that we need to do, which is to review the prompt for our paper. I want to do that together. So that way, if you have any questions, I can answer them here and now, and we can discuss them. All right, so for those of you at home, please log into Canvas and go to our homepage. For those of you in class, I'm pulling up the screen so we can all look at this together. Okay, good. There we go. So from the home page, just select the hyperlink to the week 4 module. By the way, before I continue, I am going to put our Zoom link and our meeting ID on the home page each week. Okay, so I hope that that makes it easier for you. The other way, and some of you may already know this, the other way you can log into our Zoom classes, you should be able to select this link on the left called Tech Connect Zoom. And that should take you to a bunch of the Zoom links, you know, for the rest of the semester, and you just choose the one for the right date, okay? And you should be let in. To be honest, they all will take you to the same spot. All right, so let's go to the week 4 module. Okay, I just enabled live transcription, so that should help out with what I'm saying. Sometimes the transcript doesn't get names right. That's not me typing it in, obviously. That's just the technology. Okay, so week 4 module, you check out the overview. That's where we were just at. Here is where we want to go. That is the essay 1 prompt analysis of Esperanza's development. What I would like you to do right now is to review the prompt and write down any questions that you have and then ask me. Let's talk about this. This is what we need to do to be prepared for next week and the week after. Okay, so take a couple of minutes right now and think of some questions that you have for our next writing assignment. You can type them into the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask them. It's up to you. Yahaira, I think you came in after I took attendance. I think you're still here. Is that right?
Yes.
That's perfect. Okay. For anyone who comes in after the first 15 minutes, I usually try to wait until that time. You can just type into the chat, "Hi, Professor, I don't know if I missed attendance. I'm here." Okay. Or you can direct message me that you're here. So if you come in after 8:15, just message me and let me know. So that way I can update the attendance roster. As you are reviewing the prompt, I want you to think of 2 questions. What do you need to do to finish this paper? And what is unclear? I will type those into our chat. Okay, I've written 2 columns up on the board to kind of simulate the 2 questions that I've asked you to think about as you're reviewing the prompt. What is it that you got to do? That's the action column. And the question signifies what's confusing about this prompt. Okay, what should we talk more about so that way you all know how to act? Take another moment to gather yourself, and then we can start to look at the questions that you have. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. You mean you don't know how to phrase that, like when you're writing, or you're just testing that idea? It sounds like you understand what the paper is looking for, right? That would be one way of thinking about a mindset, right? Looks like you're tracking her maturity, right? This is one thing that she was focused on early in the story, right? And that signifies immaturity, and then you see her as her focus going elsewhere, and that represents some new form of maturity. Okay. So Julissa was testing an idea that she had. What I took from it, right, and this was something that comes up pretty frequently, go right now, just use your own language, right? Write it the way it makes sense to you, okay? As we keep revising and working on your ideas, we'll start to know the language that's more technical, okay? But the word that I latched onto for you was maturity, right? That might be a way to kind of consider her growth, right? There are many other ways that we can approach this, but yeah, and Julissa, it looked like you were focusing on this question here in the center. How does Esperanza's mindset change? And that is, I think, the first thing we should put here in action. Answer the question in bold, okay? When you get lost or stuck or you have writer's block, okay, go back to the prompt and look at what is the central question that your paper has to answer, okay? And that's this one right here in bold at the top. How does Esperanza's mindset change from the beginning of the story to the end? What insight does she gain? So I'm going to write that here on the board under action. That is probably the most critical action for you to take. Less is more sometimes. Okay, so observations about what action we should be taking. We have an example now. Others though, and if you prefer to focus on a question, right, something you want to clarify, then please ask that now too. Either one is fine. So let's open it up. Questions or observations?
So for each paragraph, we're supposed to have 2 support sandwiches.
That's correct. Yes. If you want to get a passing grade or better, then yeah, 2 support sandwiches. I'm sorry. It has to be what? I'm sorry, I can't hear. The masks are making it really loud. Or two pieces of evidence, yeah, it's how you frame evidence. Yes. Exactly, yeah. So the question was just confirming that support sandwiches are evidence. Yes. Remember, what's being sandwiched is the evidence. The evidence is in the center, context goes before it, analysis comes after it, okay? Now, you don't start your paragraph with the support sandwich, you start it with the claim, okay? So an example of a claim, Esperanza has low self-esteem. Okay, great, that's a really powerful claim, okay? And that's something that we could break down even more if we wanted to, but for right now, it's a good example for class. How would you prove that? You got to go find two examples of it, okay? You know, something that occurs to me too, so every other week, I and Rosa and Natasha, we meet and we just talk about how you guys are all doing, you know? And we also talk about what we're doing in our classes. And one of the things that they reminded me of is that in the on-course book that you guys have for that class, you're learning about victim and creator, I think personality types or approaches, is that right? Have you guys learned about those terms, victim and creator? Not yet? Okay, that was brought up. It sounded like it had been discussed, but think about the maturity skills, okay, that you learn in that class, okay, and especially in that on-course book as they're being discussed by Rosa and Natasha, and in your case, it would be Natasha, right? How do those maybe apply to someone like Esperanza, right? That might give you the language you need or that could be helpful for analyzing her development, okay? Okay, great. Yeah, so Karina, I think you asked the question about support sandwiches. Yes, you should have 2 for every paragraph. If you do that, you're going to meet the minimum requirements for this pretty easily. I would encourage you to come up with 4 body paragraphs, okay? You should come up with 4 points that you want to make about Esperanza's development. I think at this stage of our writing, it's unlikely that when we write a paragraph, it's going to be the full page, okay? Or it's not going to be a good quality full page. It might be some rambling or repetition. I really want you to focus on 2 well-developed support sandwiches that are backing up a claim. And to help you meet that page length, I think coming up with 4 points to make would be the best way to go about it. I say that because it's always easier to cut than it is to go and do more research like at the last second, okay? So prepare for more. If you don't need it, you can always get rid of it, okay? All right, other questions about the essay?
I have a question on the prompt question. What insight did you gain? Is that like what makes her have a different mindset? I don't understand that question.
Rachel, it sounds like you do understand it. That's exactly right. You know, we can think of insight as some new idea, right? An idea that changes your life, right? It adds some new dimension to how you think and act, okay? So it's up to you and how you read the novel. Is this insight something that causes the change? Or does the change in behavior lead to this new insight? That's up to you, right? And this is where the way we read, the experiences in our life that cause us to focus on certain quotes more than others, that's going to make all of our papers different, okay? It's one of the things that I think is beautiful about, I love English. I love reading all your papers. You know, I know some students are like, isn't it boring? You read the same thing all the time. No, I don't, because it comes from different people and they observe different things. So Rachel, you understood it exactly right. The insight is related to the change that could happen along the way. It could be the new idea she comes to as a result of the change that she experiences. Okay, so it just depends on what you see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Yeah, so make sure that that goes in your thesis statement. And I've got a pre-writing exercise to remind you of all the parts of your thesis, you know, but it's in the week 4 module. I encourage you to look at that. Great question. Other questions about the assignment you have before you?
I have a question about the mini essay that was due. I
Yes.
turned it in that night, but I turned it on the rubric just because for the no red ink first one, it wasn't allowing me, but that was because, it was locked. Once you unlocked it, I still tried turning it in, but it wasn't saving to my files, and there was like no way I was able to actually connect my essay to the turnitin.com. So I'm just, like, I want to know, how could I get around it because it's still not letting me?
Well, the settings should be fixed. I have been receiving papers late, so you should be able to submit it. It's just a matter of having the file. So as long as you have the same file that you used for the graded rubric link, then you should be able to upload it there. So do you have the same file or did you lose the file?
No, yeah, I wrote it on the apps, like the document app, and it's just not pop. I don't know why. Like, it was able to submit through rubric, but just not through the regular Turnitin.
Okay. So other things you might want to think about, are you using a Word doc or a PDF? One of those two files is okay. Do not submit a rich text file to the Turnitin link. And also, just a reminder, it doesn't sound like you've done this, but do not go to the Turnitin website itself. Okay, just use the link that I have. Brianna, I'll make sure to check the link again after our class and make sure that I've done what I'm supposed to do on my part. And for some reason, the settings changed when I created the link and it did not accept late submissions, but I corrected that and I sent out an announcement about it. So it should be doing it now, but I'll go double check it. Okay, thank you for letting me know about that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I actually had the same issue. I tried to do it with a Word document file. It didn't take it. So then I did it on the PDF file and it wouldn't take it either.
Really? Okay, so this is what Brianna, Rachel, this is what I want you to do. I want you to, after I double check it, okay, I'll email you both and I'll say, please attempt again. I want you to take a screenshot of the message that you get, okay? So I would like to see what the error message is. That might help me help you more, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. And the assignment links for the rough draft, so let's take a look at that right now. Your rough draft is due Tuesday. You do not need to write all 4 pages for Tuesday. As I mentioned earlier, 2 pages, and this is full pages, top to bottom. That's enough for you to be able to participate in the peer review, okay? I do think more is better, but, I also know we have a lot on our plate right now, but turning in anything less than 2 pages, you're not going to get good feedback from your classmates in the peer review, okay? Also, we're not going to do a discussion board or a journal next week because I want you to focus on writing the rough draft. So the rough draft will be due Tuesday. The peer review of the rough draft is going to take the place of the discussion board. And that will be due on Thursday of next week, okay? So just a heads up of what's coming down or what's on the agenda for next week. No discussion board, we'll have a peer review instead. So it's really important. The way that you are going to be demonstrating attendance next week and activity is by doing your rough draft and then helping out your classmates by providing a peer review, okay? Even if all you can do is 2 pages, 2 full pages, that is enough, okay? And all of you are capable of writing 2 or 3 paragraphs, whatever you need to get to the full 2 pages. Remember, it's a rough draft. It does not have to be perfect. Okay, that's why it's rough, right? It's not something that is going to be published, right? So yeah, just do your best with that. Other questions about how to prepare for the rough draft or this assignment in general?
our rough draft isn't gonna be graded, right? Like how you just said, we're just gonna talk about it in our discussion board, and our final will be the actual one graded. We're just gonna
Yes.
get graded before just turning it in and having it
Yeah,
at least.
What you'll get, it'll be the rough draft. You'll have the same labels that you have for the discussion board. It's either complete, incomplete, or, no grade, right? You get a no grade if it is, well, if you don't turn anything in, okay? And if you turn in anything less than 2 pages, okay? You'll get an incomplete if the turn it in originality report is too high, okay? And that's more just to kind of let you know, hey, you're probably using too many quotes, right? Or you're using more language from other people than your own, right? You need to make that adjustment for the final draft. Yeah, Brianna, no points. It's more just like, did you do the draft or not? And then did you do the peer review or not? Okay. Yeah, it's a great way to get feedback on your ideas. And the other thing too, you guys, while I don't grade the rough drafts, I do scan them. I look at all of the rough drafts, and I'll be focusing on some of the stuff that I just taught you this week, which was your introduction, right? Do you have a problem? Do you have a thesis statement? I'll give you some quick feedback on that because that's the brand new skill, and I want you to have some feedback on that before you write that final draft. So please do the journal for this week. I replaced discussion board with a journal for this week. I want you to just do some writing about Esperanza's problem. The journal is basically you writing or drafting your introduction, right? So if you do the journal, that's going to help you write the rough draft because you'll have a paragraph that is all set, okay? And I get a sense of how you are understanding my lecture on writing an introduction, okay? So that's what I wanted to show you next. It's kind of where these things are at. And as I'm pulling up these writing exercises, if you have questions about the essay, feel free to pop in and ask. Okay. Let's go here. So there are about 3 different pre-writes. Those are the practice quizzes that I have, plus the House on Mango Street quiz. None of these are graded. It's just checking yourself. The most important pre-write that's going to help you do the journal for this week is this one here. It's called What's Your Problem? Okay. And I'm being playful with the way that I'm writing that. I want you to start thinking about argument as problem-based. Okay. So, and what we did today, where we looked at what is Esperanza dealing with? Okay. How is that preventing her from getting what she wants? That's going to help you a lot. Okay. So how you responded to today's reflection, you can put that in here. This is something that you should look at after you've reviewed the lecture on what is an introduction. It'll make much more sense that way. There are a couple of questions here that I want you to answer. And like I said, those will prepare you for writing your introduction. You will put all of this together, and I don't mind if you copy and paste your answers from the quiz and put them into the journal. And for those of you in class, I can. Writing the introduction, context of knowing your problem. There's the practice quiz. Okay. Great. So there's the practice quiz for the most important one for week 4. And then you can see this is how I'm checking your attendance for the rest of the class, the week 4 journal. No discussion board this week. We're going to do this one instead. And that's all it says. Draft the introduction below. Okay, you can type it in there. I might even recommend that you type your introduction in on a Google Doc, right? And then copy and paste it here into the quiz. Okay. That way you can keep working and making progress on the body of your paper. All right. Any questions about the journal for this week, the pre-writes, the lecture?
So the journal is essentially our introduction for our essay?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So write that intro and then copy and paste it onto a larger file and then start adding body paragraphs, and that's what you turn in for your rough draft on Tuesday, okay? Pardon me, you was, no, it's just showing when I started it. Let's look at the due date for the introduction or for the week 4 journal. What did I set it for? I set it for September 10th, which is tomorrow, but you can see that you are allowed to turn it in late, okay? That's what the until date is, okay? Obviously, that's the end of the semester. Don't do that, okay? You won't fail. Sorry, you won't pass the class, but nonetheless, okay. Other questions? I'm gonna check the chat. Okay, all right, if there's nothing else for now, that's all for class today. Good luck writing your rough drafts. You can do it, okay? Give me something to look at. Give your classmates something to look at. The only way you're gonna get better at writing is by writing, okay? So get out there and do it. And if you run into any problems, just email me. Ileana, I know that you have not office hours, but you're available for tutoring today and tomorrow. Is that correct? Yep. Yes, she is. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So you've got 2 resources, myself, okay, and Ileana, in addition to your classmates. All right. Good luck to you all. I look forward to reading your thoughts on Esperanza's development. Okay. Take care.
Where can we go to for like, because you said she has hours, tutoring hours, where can we go to find her? Or
That's a great question. You go, just like it is for me with office hours, you go to the chat. Okay, and in the chat function, you'll see I'm online right now. I'm in the chat. Notice you'll see Ileana has typed in like the other day at 10:30 that she was checking in for office hours. So go in there and just let her know, hey, I'm here and I'm struggling with my thesis. Okay, and then you two will figure out what's the best way to proceed. It's the same thing for me. When I have my office hours, I'll check in right here. You can just type something into the chat like, hello, right? I said I need help with my thesis. Okay. And then whichever one of us is on at that time, we'll respond to you. Okay.
okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay, everyone, feel free to head out unless you have a question, and then I'll stick around and answer them. I'm going to stop the recording now.